Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is March 9th, and right now we're looking at the visible satellite imagery with Doppler radars overlaid. You can see we've got some precipitation moving up over the region here, kind of a weak frontal system moving across the area. We've got a stronger system back across Pacific Ocean, as you can see, as the sun rises across Pacific Ocean. Here's some high clouds moving across the region. We'll look at those details. We'll look at the extended forecast as well. Looks like we're going to warm up here as we go towards the end of next week or this upcoming week here, and we'll look at those details. We go through the video here this morning. Here goes our next system out here. You can see the frontal system moving over us right now. And then we've got yet another system as we go through the early portion of next week. And then we start to build a ridge here across Pacific Northwest. If we take a look at Washington versus Oregon here, you can kind of see how some of Southwest Washington is included in Portland National Weather Service forecast offices here. And it's important to know which location you are in for the point and click forecast here. So know your geographical region here. They did all new zones here and they kind of fine tune some of these, terrain features here. So heads up for that, Portland National Weather Service. Strong winds expected. This does include Pendleton, Oregon here. We'll look at some of these wind speeds here in a moment, but you can see there is a high wind warning and wind advisory in effect for some portions of eastern Washington here. I guess it's 60 miles per hour for the northern Blue Mountains there. And if we look again, daylight savings time, here we go. As we get to 2 a.m., we spring forward to 3 o'clock here, so don't forget to do that. I know most of the phones and everything nowadays, they do that for you. But it'll be nice to have some later sunsets anyway. And National Weather Service, we have a couple bouts of wind coming, mainly for the northwest interior and some of the coastal areas. We'll look at that in some detail as well. Also can't rule out some high winds across the higher terrain as per usual. And you can kind of see we've got some of the coastal flood advisories. We've got the wind advisories mainly up across Whidbey, San Juan, western Skagit, and Whatcom County here. There's some winter weather advisories out there also. And you can see some high wind watches across some of southwest Washington also. Now, if we take a look at those winds, this is the North American model. Let's put this into motion, and you can see this frontal system kind of sweeping through this morning. And the winds are ongoing across some of the higher terrain in eastern Oregon as we speak right now, and they're picking up as we speak across the northwest interior, Strait of Georgia, some of Vancouver Island, and some of the coastal areas as well, getting some blustery winds. And then the next storm system rolls in as we go through this evening and tonight, and you can see it's packing quite a punch here for the coastal areas. This is not a region-wide windstorm by any means, but you're going to notice it if you're across some of the northwest interior, some of the coastal areas, or if you're across some of the higher terrain. And then that system will swing through here, and then we've got another one as we go on in through a Monday afternoon. Here it goes. This is about Monday 4 p.m. there. Another frontal system coming in and starts to kick up the winds yet one more time. And this is looking at composite reflectivity. Again, you saw as the Doppler radar showed this morning, some of that light rain spreading up over the area. And we do have a thunderstorm potential this afternoon. You can see some of the showery activity behind you. Can't rule out a lightning strike or two, so eyes on the sky for that. And then that frontal system moves in tonight. It'll be a stronger one. You can see this narrow cold frontal rain band right off the coastline there, and it's going to spread all the way down through Oregon into California. And then some showery weather behind that for Sunday afternoon. And then we have that next system start to roll in here as we go through the day Monday. But that should be the last of them for the most part. We might have a weak decaying front trying to approach here, but we're going to be building a ridge at that point, and then we're going to start to warm up. Now, look at the overall winter storm impacts. We are going to get some snow across the higher terrain. This is for today right here, and you can see we start to bring a little bit of that wintry precip tomorrow on Sunday, and then Monday, be prepared for some wintry driving conditions, especially across the Cascades and whatnot. And if we look at lightning flash density potential, in fact, let's zoom in a little bit on this here. Let's go to Pacific Northwest just so we can see this in a little bit better detail. If we put this into motion, let's go through today. So here we go. You can see that cool showery air kind of bring in that thunderstorm potential, kind of highlighting some of the southern Puget Sound and central there as we go through the day today. And we may do it one more time on Sunday. Again, we're going to have some showery weather around. You can't rule out a lightning strike, and that could move on into eastern Washington, eastern Oregon there also. Now let's take a look at 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. We'll take a look at the extended forecast. We can see our systems rolling through the Pacific Northwest here, and then we start to build that ridge. And I want you to look at this number here. Look at that 579. That's the heights at 500 millibars or 18,000 feet setting up right off our coastline here. And then we kind of keep this strong ridge around for a few days at least. And that is the geopotential height here, and that's the meters above sea level there. So again, it was about 579 509. And why I'm showing you that is we can look back in the past and see some of the highest 500 millibar heights in our history. And when we had that big heat wave, we had about 575 right there. The ridge might not be as favorable for that heat wave. We're probably not going to be looking at upper 70s here for Western Washington, but we are going to get quite warm. That is up towards record territory shown there. So interesting stuff, and it'll be fun to watch to see just how strong this ridge is going to be through our extended. Now looking at precipitation. So we are going to get some precip here over the next few days, but some of the models are coming in a little bit lighter with some of the rainfall for Seattle. But you see the coastal range, Olympic Mountains, Vancouver Island, BC getting some decent amounts. Some of this will be in the form of snowfall going on there. And then the system that rolls through Monday night looks to be a fairly wet one for some areas. We can kind of see the rain shadowing northeast of the Olympics and for eastern Washington. And then we scroll into the extended and we just kind of shut off the entire rain-making machine here for a while. Look at this. We scroll way off into the future and not much is showing up here for the Pacific Northwest. And if I go out to the 10-day precipitation anomalies here, you can kind of see how we're looking like we're going to be drying out here from March 13th to the 23rd, at least in this map, but just kind of showing you here that we are going to be on the dry side of things here. It looks like through mid and the later portions of March. And this is when we went way back into in 2019, March 18th, when we had some record highs. We set some record highs for some areas for 2 or 3 straight days, and Seattle reached some of the upper 70s here, and that's the position of the ridge. We're going to have something similar here, maybe not quite as far north as this one, but it's a strong ridge nonetheless. And if we look at the European ensemble mean versus the European artificial intelligence map here, we'll scroll off into the future just to kind of see what the models are showing. You can see that that strong ridge sets up shop here. And this is, again, going to be a more smoothed out, averaged out version. It is an average of all 50 individual ensemble members there, but you can see a pretty good agreement on this huge ridge setting up shop and staying with us through early next week. And then some disagreement does start to occur here as the system kind of tries to swing through and tries to flatten out that ridge a bit. But the ensembles still have that strong ridge here, and it actually shows it here as well. But then there's going to be individual systems that try to eventually break this ridge down as we go through the later portions of March. Now, looking at what happens at 5,000 feet or 850 millibars, you can see Washington here, there's Oregon, California, there's British Columbia. Put it into motion, you'll see our system swinging through here. Here we go, Monday, Tuesday, that next system rolls through here, and then that's going to be the last storm for a while. As we really start to warm up, we get this big dome of high pressure, we get some offshore flow here, even a bit of a thermal trough up the coastline. And you can really see how we warm up aloft across much of the region. And that could remain with us here for a few days. Again, we're kind of still trying to figure out how long this ridge is going to be with us. It's going to be an ongoing battle here to try to see just how long it's going to hang out. But I want to show you also in the GFS, this is this morning's versus last night's, but I want to show you the relationship between sea level pressure and winds just above the surface at 2,500 feet. So you can see our storm system's rolling in here with some gusty winds here, and then we go on in through Monday night into Tuesday, another system rolls through the area, and then we start to build the ridge, and you can see it on the right here, the high pressure starts to set up, and you can see the flow turn offshore by the time we go towards Thursday here. You can kind of see it flowing northeast across the Puget Sound, portions of western Oregon, across California, as well as the big dome of high pressure sets up shop, and we get those offshore winds potentially warming us up pretty nicely here as we go through the weekend. Still some disagreement on how much we're going to warm up, but you can clearly see the relationship between the dome of high pressure there and the offshore winds, and there's kind of that thermal trough hinting at the coastline areas there. Daily 2-meter max temperature, so over the next few days you can imagine we're going to have clouds and rainfall going on. By the time we go towards Wednesday, not much change, but then we go to Thursday and we're going to notice a warm up, especially across western Oregon. Eastern Washington starts to warm up a bit as well, but look, by Friday, Saturday, look at some of these temperatures all the way up into some of the valleys of southwest BC getting nice and warm. Look, some 70s might make an appearance here across western Oregon. We go Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We may remain warm. Again, just depends on what that ridge does on into our future. And we look at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Look at this. Some of these actually have a hint of 70-degree days showing up here. So we may even do that for western Washington. And you can see these warmer temperatures setting up shop. This is Spokane. It's that time of year we can start warming things up east of the mountains also when we start to build ridges over top. And you can see some days into the 60s can't be rolled out. There's Boise as well, starting to creep up towards that 60-degree mark. Here's Astoria. You could even get a couple warm days out towards the coastline depending on how strong that offshore flow is. There's Bend, eastern Oregon as well, warming up. And this is the 6 to 10 day. Should be no surprise after what I just showed you there with the 500 millibar charts, much above average here for some of the West Coast. Actually, this is not much above. This is a percentage of a chance of being above average temperature, but you can see a strong signal there. 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook all the way through March 18th below normal precipitation, and 8 to 14 day, nothing has changed there also. And if we look here at the snowpack, this is not going to be good for the snowpack here once we start to dry out that much. So, Oregon's doing okay right now, but they could fall below normal. And BC is doing even worse than Washington, Idaho, or Montana is right now. So, hopefully we can, overperform with some of these systems in the next few days before we start to dry things out. But anyway, hope you guys liked the video here today. Click like and subscribe. We will do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.